Okay, hello. Welcome to the second episode of X-Men Extravaganza. My name's Rebecca.
My name's Abby.
And today we're going to talk about Lifedeath.
So Lifedeath is issue 186 of the Uncanny X-Men. It's a double-sized issue. And it is about Storm. We're kind of snacking as we tell this, so.
Because we're both really hungry and we didn't eat dinner. Oh, no, we did. Or you didn't. Abby didn't. Anyways.
So, pardon the chewing. And then we have two other comics that we're going to be, talking about as well, because we own them. And they're connected. One is set before, and it's Forge's first appearance, and it's Uncanny X-Men 184. It's Rachel's first 616 appearance. That's the bulk of the issue. But the first 5 or so pages introduce Forge really quickly. And then the other one is Uncanny X-Men 220, and that's set after Lifedeath, but it's when Storm comes back to find Forge later on, and it's got some interesting flashbacks to Lifedeath. Okay, so Becca, why don't you start with just kind of some of your favorite things about Lifedeath? Because I know this is our favorite comic. What are some things that stand out to you about this comic?
I like Storm. Storm is my favorite character. I like that Forge loves her so much, but he's like, meh.
He's a little dumb.
Yeah, he is.
He's this genius, smart inventor. I gotta stop eating while I'm talking.
But he's also dumb. Mm-hmm. Can I have a Reese's?
Yeah. Oops. That's okay, didn't rip. I bumped the comic weird. We have physical copies of this comics, which is really fun. Okay, so, I wanted to talk, if you're okay, if I take a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you can add in comments wherever you want. I wanted to talk about, how I think, Lifedeath really does, we talk about, the mutant metaphor and stuff, and how mutants are an allegory for, minorities and oppressed peoples and stuff. And that, metaphor doesn't always work out super well, because you can't just straight up say...
I had 2 of these in my Reese's peanut butter cup. Sorry.
Anyways, she was talking about her, wrappers. There were, 2, wrapper things. Anyways, enough about Reese's Pieces. Or not Reese's Pieces, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Anyways, mutant metaphor. And it's something that's really hard to do well, right?
The coloring is really bad.
Yeah, the Forge is bright pink in all of these issues.
Oh, also, just so you know, if you hear yelling, then that's our brother and his friends downstairs. Because I can hear them right now.
I don't think you should be able to. Last time he had friends over as well and you couldn't hear them.
Yeah.
Anyways, back on Lifedeath, the topic. Apparently today Rebecca is the one trying to get us off topic.
What? Oh. Whoops.
Focus. Okay. Yeah, as Rebecca mentioned, the coloring is really bad in these comics. Storm is done okay. It's pretty decent. It's better than some modern comics have been with her skin tone.
Yeah.
Forge, unfortunately, falls into, the colorists doing Forge's skin fall into this thing that happens a lot with old comics and indigenous characters, which is, that there were only a certain amount of colors that they could use for this printing process. And so as a way to differentiate indigenous people's skin tones from just white
Except
people.
In this one, it's white.
Yeah, it fluctuates depending on it fluctuates depending on panel. Sometimes he's just pale in the way that the white characters are. But as a way to differentiate indigenous people's skin tones from the black characters' skin tones and the white characters' skin tones, they made them a pinkish tone, which obviously falls into some red skin stereotypes, and that's not how indigenous people's skin look. They look brown, tan, and they can look pale as well. Mm-hmm. And they can be dark as well. There's a whole range of skin tones, but this kind of bright pink falls into indigenous stereotypes.
Yeah.
So
it's not one of the skin tones.
And it's like a bright hot pink. That's not really how skin works. Just like people don't have like bright yellow skin.
Yeah.
Anyways, the thing I find really interesting about this comic is the way it uses a mutant metaphor and compares it to disability. Like, to like the disabled community. Specifically because, so Storm loses her powers. That's the big thing in this comic. I realized we probably should have introed with that.
Oh, yeah.
So Storm has lost her powers.
And it's because...
Okay, so Forge was hired by the U.S. government. He is a mutant. His power is that if he can think of something, he can make it. Like, if he can think of something, he can make it. His mutant name is The Maker. And then Forge is his real name, which is really interesting because it's not really, like, a typical name.
Yeah.
He has never been given an actual name. Claremont was intending to name him Daniel Lone Angel. Or not Lone Angel, Lone Eagle. Which you...
Because it talks about, like...
Eagles. He's compared to eagles a lot. That's kind of like his animal is being compared to a lot. I don't really like the idea of him being called Daniel, because I feel like it's really similar to the other Cheyenne X-Men character at this time, Dani Moonstar. Because she's Danielle Moonstar. And it's... I don't know if it's a coincidence, or if Claremont just really didn't think about it. But there is an alternate reality where he's called Jonathan Silvercloud. And again, that's like... And obviously, both of us are not indigenous. But I feel like that one seems a little bit... It's... That one, I think I like the first name better of that one.
Yeah.
I did do some research, and there is actually a Cheyenne, like, indigenous name that translates directly to Lone Eagle. Like, if you directly translate it, which I thought was interesting.
Okay, anyways, Lifedeath.
I'm talking about Lifedeath, I'm talking about Forge. But anyways, Forge, he creates, two things for the U.S. government. He creates a gun, a mutant neutralizer, or a power neutralizer, because a really important context is the dire wraiths.
They're very complicated... they're very complicated aliens that never show up again.
Pretty much. They're basically like
They suck your brains out and turn into you.
Yeah, so they stick their proboscis into the middle of your brain, or wherever. I think they can do it in like your chest and stuff too. Yeah. Usually it's the forehead though.
They suck your brain out.
Comic. They suck your brain out, they turn you into a pile of goop, basically, and then they can steal your appearance.
Take your skin.
And your memories.
Yeah.
And they're a big concern for the U.S. government right now because they're pretty freaky. They really do not ever show up again.
We watched them kill a guy.
Yes, they do kill a guy in Lifedeath. A government guy. But basically, the U.S. government has commissioned Forge to create copies of, and I didn't realize this until I was reading through it again, to copy two things that the dire wraith's arch foe, it was a space knight named Rom. I don't know who this Rom is. Anyways, he uses an analyzer to locate these beings and a neutralizer which banishes them to an other dimensional limbo, which is interesting because I wonder if it means like actual limbo.
Is this still recording?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I wonder if it means like, you know, like limbo, like the place where Ileana was raised, like the kind of like hell dimension thing.
Yeah.
Or if he just means like other dimensional limbo, because limbo means like in between, like this kind of like in between space.
Or bending your back so far that you go under a string.
Is that also limbo? Yeah, that is also limbo. Anyways, I don't think he means it in that.
I think he does.
Anyways, he says because of built-in fail-safe mechanisms, we are unable to examine or copy these weapons. So his job was to duplicate them, and that's what he did. So there's a neutralizer gun, and it theoretically should be able to neutralize the power of any super being, mutant or otherwise, and its intention is to be used on the dire wraiths. However, Gyrick, who is a government official who does not like mutants and sucks, ends up with this gun somehow.
He's racist.
Forge is unclear on why Gyrick has it. Yeah, Gyrick is like a mutant bigot. he's no bueno.
He's racist.
I don't think it's, like, specifically he's racist, but he's anti-mutant. Remember what we talked about with the mutant metaphor? It's not direct. He is a white man, though, so...
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if it was real life, he would be racist.
Probably. He's not actually racist towards anyone within the comic itself. He just... Sucks. And does not like mutants. So he ends up with this neutralizer and is trying to use it on Rogue because Rogue is suspected to have murdered this guy. It's not actually real. She didn't actually murder him. It was this whole confusing thing. It was like Carol Denver's like best friend when she was growing up as a kid, and Rogue, because she has Carol's memories, like rescued him. And it was like grappling with like you're my best friend, and he's like, I don't know who you are. Because she has Carol's memories. It was this whole thing. Anyways, Rogue did not actually kill somebody, but the government thinks she does. And so that they can detain her, because she's Rogue, and she has these powers.
I'm thirsty.
They are, so the government is, they want to capture Rogue, and they can't do that unless she doesn't have her powers. So Guy Ritchie has gotten a hold of this neutralizer gun, without Forge's permission, and Storm and Rogue are trying to save a barge that is capsizing in this storm.
What's a barge?
It's like a boat. And it's full of innocent people, and it's about to, like, tip over. So they're trying to help that. And Guy Ritchie's like, oh, perfect! A perfect opportunity for me to use the gun on Rogue. And he points it at Rogue, and Forge is with him. And he points it at Rogue, and he pulls the trigger. He turns it up all the way. Because I think they tried it earlier on Rogue, on the lower intensity, and it wore off. So he cranks this thing up as high as it goes. He points it at Rogue, and he pulls the trigger. But as he pulls the trigger, Forge realizes what he's doing, and he shoves Guy Ritchie.
And Storm is also there, just so you know.
Yeah, Storm is there. And Storm, like, kind of gets in Rogue's way, like, no, Rogue! And the combo of those two things, Forge shoving Guy Ritchie and Storm, like, shifting to protect Rogue, causes her to get hit with the beam, and she falls into the river, and Forge pulls her out, and Rogue is totally missing. Nobody knows where Rogue is.
Rogue got, like, caught downstream or something.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't get caught. She, like, went downstream.
Caught.
But they don't catch her, though, remember?
No, I mean caught by the stream.
Oh, yeah, she got caught by the river. Caught by the current, yeah. And Forge, who is not happy at Guy Ritchie, takes Storm with him to his giant...
And then they fall in love.
Eagle Plaza. Yeah, they do. And Storm is... So the text kind of uses... So Forge is a disabled Cheyenne man. He's indigenous, and he is disabled. Because he is a double amputee.
He was in the Vietnam War, and there were a bunch of, like, evil demon things.
Those are the ones that he conjured to fight back. But
then there was a bomb, and he was trying to die. No,
you're confusing it. There was a bomb that took his arm, or his hand and his leg, and then after that, in recovery, he was depressed and suicidal.
No. It says, I wanted to die, but then I didn't die.
He's talking about, yeah, I think that is an important part, and I was going to talk about that too, how I think that, like, that parallel to, where is it? Flipping through the pages right now. Okay, it's right here. He said, the war, Vietnam, I got too close to a bomb, or maybe not close enough, depends on your point of view. At the time, I wanted to die. I was pretty determined, too.
At the time he got hit. Yes,
he means, what he means is...
At the time means right then, when it happened.
No, that's not, because he says here, I'm making the same mistakes the shrinks made with me. You'd think I'd know better.
What's this?
Like, shrink is like an old term for, like, therapist, counselor. So, like, he almost died.
It says at the time.
He doesn't mean literally, like, at the time. He
means at the time when he got hit by the bomb.
No.
Yes, he does.
Okay. This is what he says.
This
is what he says. At the time, I wanted to die. I was pretty determined, too. I tried to do the job myself. he didn't set the bomb.
Well, but he, like...
No, he didn't try. He got too close to a bomb. Or maybe not close enough, depends on your point of view. He didn't set off the bomb. He didn't purposefully step on the bomb.
Well, yeah, but, like, he said at the time.
He means at the time, like, when he was, like, recovering from the amputations, because they had to take his leg and hand off. And he's grappling with that. And that's, like, I think it's important that it's, like, after that happened, when they were like, okay, we're, like, you're recovering, we're doing medical care and all that, like, that's when it was, because he's like, I've lost my leg and my hand, I came so close to dying, like, I should have just died, because that's what Storm is going through right now.
Oh.
Do you understand that? Like,
Kinda.
So he ended up being...
the wording is confusing.
The wording is confusing, but I think it makes more sense to view it as, like, he became disabled, and because of that, he became depressed and suicidal. Because that's what's happening with Storm right now. She is, in the comic book way, in the superhero way, she's becoming disabled. Yeah, her loss of power is directly compared to Forge's disability, and I think it works in a way.
She's sad.
Yeah, in a way that, like, metaphors in this way don't always work, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have Forge here who is actually disabled, I don't think it would work.
Yeah.
If you just had Storm be like, I've lost my wonderful powers and now I'm basically disabled. And she doesn't say that either.
Yeah.
Like, it's a comparison that Forge makes, that the disabled person makes, not her.
Mm-hmm.
Because the really interesting thing about this story is that, like, the reason Forge saves her and is, like, trying to help her so much is partially because he's in love with her, because who isn't, right?
Yeah.
But also, it's because, like, he sees himself in her.
Yeah.
He sees somebody going through the same struggles.
Mostly because he loves her.
No, it's mostly because he sees himself. He says that in here.
No, it's mostly because he loves her.
No. Look. No. He says. Look. Where is it? Because he's talking about, like, he does understand, like, he is in love with her, but I think that the main primary reason, and the thing that makes this book so good, is not just that he's, like, in love with her because she's beautiful, and he's trying to help her because, like, oh, she's a beautiful woman, right? Because I feel like that's a really shallow way for him to look at it. But he sees himself in her. He says, like, I'm making the same mistakes with her that the shrinks made with me, right? He's like, I've seen this story before, you know?
Okay,
this is what he says.
We should keep talking about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, he says, I can't help myself. I get so angry. At me, not Aurora, but I end up taking it out on her. I'm making the same mistakes the shrinks made with me. You'd think I'd know better. And
then he's, like, very depressed.
No, he's just, like, swimming because he's frustrated, and then he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have left Storm up there alone because...
And he's depressed.
His house... No, I don't think that's a fair word to use here. Storm is depressed. Depressed isn't just sad. And I think that's an important distinction to make. He is concerned for Aurora, and he's wondering how he can help her best. And as he's doing that, he's swimming laps in this swimming pool.
We should do the next one in the morning because I'm so tired.
Get up. It's only 8 o'clock.
I'm so tired.
Taking your blanket.
It's 8:44. But I'm cold.
And so he's, like, swimming in the swimming pool and stuff, and he's like, well, maybe I shouldn't... Because his penthouse is so weird. It's, like, kind of crazy. He's just got floating platforms in there with floating stairs. And there's this whole hologram system set up.
I would, like, fall off,
Well, he's worried Storm's gonna jump off one of them.
Well, yeah,
that's what he says in the pool.
I would, like, trip.
I mean, she does do that when she's trying to get out of the penthouse later during the reveal.
But she dies.
And
no, she doesn't die.
She doesn't die. She doesn't die.
No, she doesn't die.
And then Storm ends up joining him in the pool and is like, haha, race you to the other side. And then this is kind of where we get, like, oh, Forge is disabled because his prosthetic leg and his glove.
Yeah, we kind of went backwards. We were here and then we went.
Oh, yeah, because we were kind of talking about it in pieces. Because the next page is the one where he's talking about Vietnam and the bomb and stuff. But do we want to talk about his glove? Because it's...
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So Forge is very clearly meant to be a double amputee. He says in the text, without my own knack of inventing, or if not for my own knack at inventing, I'd be hobbling around on a steel pin and wearing a hook where my right hand used to be.
I want to talk about this.
So clearly he lost his right hand.
So he lost his right hand, but then in this picture, he has both his hands.
Yeah, so we're not sure if it's a communication error. He wears a glove over that hand for the majority of the comic. But when he's in the water and he's taking off his prosthetics, it's just the glove sitting on the tile, and he has his other hand. And I don't think that makes much sense, because he specifically mentions a hook where my right hand used to be.
Yeah, and look, there's that, and then in this panel...
Yeah, he's got both of his hands in the comic.
Yeah.
So there was either, there was a miscommunication, or the art was done before Claremont decided that he wanted Forge to be missing his right hand.
Yeah.
But either way, it makes sense for him to have lost his right hand in the explosion as well, because it took his right leg, and then it would also take his right hand, because it would have been on the right side of his body. And that makes sense. Last time
why isn't he, paralyzed?
It would depend on, the severity of the bomb and stuff. I do think that he should have more, scars from the explosion.
Because he just has, 2.
Well, he has, these, scratch-like scars on his side that he shows,
bombs
and
don't
on
give
his
you
leg.
scratches.
It could have been shrapnel wounds.
What's that?
So, shrapnel is, sharp metal, and sometimes in bombs, it'll, explode
he should have,
out.
explosion wounds, too.
Yeah, he should. And this is also kind of just, a comic books don't usually give people realistic scars.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But yeah. And so Forge and Storm are getting really close,
good,
and they're we're gonna skip that for now, because we're talking about Forge and Storm still. And they get really close, and they're falling in love. Forge is already in love with Storm, but Storm is
I want to talk about this part.
The dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then after the diaries part, which we're skipping for now.
It's a flash to where Rogue is at the time, and there's diary stuff going on.
Storm, her costume was destroyed, so then she has this pink dress that Forge delivered, and then she put it on, and she went to where Forge is, and then she walked up to Forge, and she was like, "May I help?" And then Forge was cutting meat or something, and then he just cut his thumb a little bit.
Yeah, and he's
just staring at Storm,
and she's like, and then she's like, why am I trying to impress him? And so then she goes and puts on overalls, which is sad because she looks really pretty in the dress.
But she looks pretty in the overalls.
She looks pretty in everything. Anyways, and so then they're talking, and Storm tries champagne, which is funny, because she's drinking it, quite a bit of it, and
Forge is
you're supposed to sip it, because it's this fancy thing that you kind of sip. But basically, they're falling in love, because...
And then they kiss.
And they do kiss. Because, and I think it's really interesting that it's not just this guy and girl are in a building together, so they fall in love. Storm is falling in love with Forge because he's actively trying to help her out of this dark place that she's in by saying, hey, I relate. I know what you're going through. I want to help you, and I'm going to be here with you every step of the way. And I've already walked this path. So now I'm going to help you walk it. And Forge is in love with Storm because she's so pretty. And also because he sees so much of his past self in her, and he wants to help her.
What part are we at?
But then Guy Ritchie calls Forge, and Storm listens in on the conversation.
Yeah, so after they kiss, he calls Forge, and then they go to a different room, and then Storm just grabs the phone and listens. So who wouldn't do that?
This is how old phones used to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know this? It's, well, we watched, White Christmas, and they pulled this thing in the movie. But, basically, for the younger audience members that haven't grown up watching older movies, old telephones, when you had a telephone in one part of the house and the other part of the house, they were connected. So if you just, if somebody was calling on the other phone and you just picked up the one, say, in the living room and the other one's in the kitchen, you could hear the conversation
and
going
they
on
could
on
hear
the other.
you, but if you didn't
And they
talk,
could hear you.
then, like,
And so Forge overhears, or Storm overhears Forge and Gyrick talking about her, because Gyrick wants her transferred to, like, a compound because Rogue is trying to find her. And they don't want Rogue to
and then
break
they
into form.
end up talking about the gun that Forge made.
And Forge is like, yeah, I designed and made the gun. And Storm is like, okay, like, I'm leaving. And
she gets really mad.
And she falls off several platforms.
Yep, and then it's like
because of all the holograms.
It's not flashbacks. Yeah, there's holograms of the war.
And they are flashbacks.
Yeah, but
they're Forge's flashbacks as holograms. Then, like, lightning strikes the building.
Yep.
And kind of breaks the holograms. And they have this whole conversation in the rain.
And then
she slaps him.
She slaps him. And then she looks yellow.
It's just the lighting.
She's yellow. And he's, like, pale white.
It's because they're doing, like, a strong, like, lighting right here. Anyways,
she slaps him.
She slaps him, and he tells her that he is a mutant, and she doesn't fully believe him. And she's like, you're a liar, like, you betrayed me, like, stay away from me. And then she goes on this whole thing, and it kind of reminds me, we talked in the last episode about how Forge proposes to Storm and then comes back and, like, goes on this whole thing, like, you're never gonna have a life without the X-Men, da-da-da. Goes on this whole thing that kind of, like, emotionally wrecks Storm.
And Storm was gonna say yes.
And Storm's gonna say yes. I think this is really interesting, too, because she does a very similar thing. Obviously, in this point, it's deserved.
Yeah.
But she says, you live in your high tower, untouched, untouchable, surrounded by illusions, so terrified of the real living world. You cannot bear to violate the sanctity of your space, even with something as small as a flower. Your home is a true reflection of its creator, cold, cruel, sterile, and ultimately a deception. An ideal world wherein the master of lies can feel safe and secure. And then he's like, you're wrong, I'm not like that. And stuff, but I thought that is, like, really interesting, because she's like, I don't know, I thought it was, like, a really interesting in-depth thing. I also like how Lifedeath starts. It says, once upon a time there was a woman who could fly.
Yeah.
Which is, like, the first line of them.
Should we talk about the diaries?
We should probably talk about diaries.
Alright, so now we're gonna go back.
We're gonna go back, because, like, halfway through...
Before they get into
It's set around the same time, though. Because, like, this, like, they don't show up again until later.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. So, okay, so this military officer that works under Val Cooper, and, Val has met Forge and stuff like that, and they're talking about what went down, with Rogue and Storm.
Yeah.
And, it's just this random guy. Do we know what his name is? I think it's Phil. That's his name. He's just a generic, like, business guy that works under, he's not really important. I mean,
and then he goes in his car.
He goes in his car, and he actually, this is interesting, he says, the lady does not look good. He's talking about Val, because she's all stressed out. He said, word is Forge protested to the president himself. Like, about them shooting Storm with his gun, which is really interesting. I think, kind of like, we're shown again and again with Forge's actions that he truly did not mean to hurt Storm.
Yeah.
But it's also extremely valid for Storm to want nothing to do with him.
Yep.
And I think that this comic has that duality in it, where it's not like Forge is super duper evil, or like Storm is being a silly woman who's not listening. You know what I mean? Like, her, like, she is angry, and that is justified, and also he is not a villain.
Yeah.
Okay. Dire Wraiths,
he goes into his car, he's starting his car, and then the Dire Wraith appears. Kind of sucks his brain out.
Yep, it uses proboscis. And
it looks
sucks
weird.
him up,
it's
and
like,
it looks like him, and then goes, like, to, like, the hotel, and it's like, knock, 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 because they're, going to ambush Val, because there's 2 other Dire Wraiths with him, and they're gonna take, Val's body. Anyways, they come in, they're like, da-da-da, we're gonna take, and then Rogue shows up and beats up the Dire Wraiths, and I thought this was interesting. When the Dire Wraiths are in human form, like, like Val Cooper, like she like digs her eyes into the Dire Wraith's eyes, the human Dire Wraith. What did I say?
You said eyes.
Oh, she digs her fingers into its eyes.
Abby, I'm trying to see. Hello, sorry, our brother interrupted us.
Anyways,
Let me see.
She can like
Poke her
when
fingers
the Dire Wraiths are in human form, like they can be beat just like a human can.
Yeah.
So when Rogue distracts the other two because she's punching them out of the hotel, she just broke the stinking wall. Val like digs her long fingernails into this Dire Wraith, pretending to be one of her employees, like into his eyes, kicks him in the groin, shoves him to the ground, takes his gun,
and then shoots him.
She takes his gun and then she shoots him in the head. And then Val ends up getting away, and Rogue is not having fun because she touched a Dire Wraith and now she has its memories.
Oh yeah, Rogue, when she touches someone or something, she
gets their memories and their powers if they have any. Val managed to get out of there by like just kind of like taking Phil's cars and just like ramming into all the cars around her.
Yeah, I don't know why she takes Phil's car, because it's covered in blood.
Well, it's like
Goo.
Phil goo.
And blood.
And he's like right in the middle of all the cars, and she gets out of the parking lot by just ramming into all of the cars around her repeatedly until a path opens up.
Even though she could have just hijacked like one of the front cars.
Or maybe she had his keys. His keys were probably still in the ignition. That's probably why.
They were.
Because he put them in the ignition and then died.
Oh, and then Rogue comes and beats up this lady.
Well, okay, she touches Val and knocks her out because she doesn't want Val telling people that she was here. And she needs Val's memories so she knows where Storm is.
Yeah.
Careful,
Whoops.
careful.
I just whacked the book.
And then that's why Forge gets the call and da-da-da-da.
And then we're going to do the sequel kind of thing.
Do we want to talk about Forge's introduction? Because it's kind of funny to me.
Sure.
Remember the...
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the scene that me and Rebecca really think is funny. So, this is before Lifedeath. So, Val is meeting Forge for the first time, and Raven Darkholm, who is Mystique, in disguise as a government official. Well, she's a Defense Advanced Research Planning Agency is who she works for. But it's Mystique. She just looks like she's just like, she's pretending...
I want another Reese's.
...to be fancy and high up.
What? I'm hungry.
And so Raven, she's Mystique. She's just like in a human disguise and stuff.
Yep.
And so they kind of gawk at his hologram stuff or whatever. And then they see Forge, and I love his outfit. He's wearing a striped black and white polo shirt.
He looks like a golfer.
He does. He's holding his cane. His metal leg is on full display because he is wearing like booty shorts.
Yep,
they're like blue, and like short athletic shorts.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a glove on one hand. He's looking stylish. He's got the mustache and the short hair. He's so fun. And then they talk about the gun and stuff, and then he shows them the mutant detector.
Yes, this is the part that we think is funny.
He's looking at it, and he says, as a matter of fact, it reveals that one of us in this room is a mutant.
And Raven
is immediately like...
She thinks that he sees that she's
a mutant. And she knows that that's going to be suspicious and that she can't be revealed as Mystique. So her immediate thought, she goes, what? Does he mean me? Who else? If he denounces me, that's sure to jeopardize my true identity. As Mystique, leader of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. That must not happen. I've no choice. I'll have to kill him and Val as well. So she's immediately like, okay. I'm going to have to kill him. I'm going to have to kill Val. I'm going to have to get out of here. No witnesses. Make this look like somebody else did it, etc., etc. And then Forge just laughs. She said all of this in her head, but Forge just laughs and goes, my apologies, ladies. No need for alarm. This was just a joke. The mutant, you see, is me.
Because he's also a mutant.
Yeah. And Raven is like, what? And Forge realizes, he's like, if looks could kill, my troubles be over. I really spooked her. I wonder why. She got something to hide? But he doesn't say anything and doesn't end up finding anything out.
Also, after that, she's like, I have to destroy the thingy.
Oh, yeah, she does, because she realizes they're going to use it against Rogue.
Yeah.
And so she tries to destroy the neutralizer or something. I don't remember exactly how it goes. We don't own the comic that a lot of that goes down in. But yeah, I do remember that she's opposed to it. She doesn't want Rogue to get hurt. She wants... Mystique is interesting because there are points in time where she wishes that Rogue didn't have her powers and looks into ways to help take Rogue's powers away, but also she does not want to hurt Rogue.
Yeah. Okay, and then this one is like a weird flashbacky
We're
thing.
on Uncanny X-Men 220. So Storm has gone back to the X-Men at this time. There was some stuff with the dire wraiths that goes on.
Oh, we have to
after
talk about
Lifedeath
this.
Number 1. Okay, do you want to talk about this?
Yes.
It's a Storm and Wolverine scene.
Yes. My two favorite characters. Anyways. So then Wolverine is being all dramatic and posing at the edge of a cliff. And it says, he's a mutant more than a human. Mainstay of a team of heroes. And then Storm comes and he almost like slashes Storm to death.
He slashes the Rock. He's being like a dramatic loner, like, oh, I don't work with a team.
And he is mad because Storm was with Rogue. Blah, blah. Not Rogue.
Forge.
With Forge.
And that isn't actually why he's mad. I feel
think
the
it
need
is,
to
though.
preface. She's been back with the X-Men now for a little while. But he's like, I wanted my alone time. You're bugging me. Leave me alone. Grr.
Rar.
And he's wearing a cowboy hat, which is
Rar.
also fun. And then Storm is kind of like,
I think he should have a gun.
People are like, oh, Wolverine, I gotta stay away from those claws. And he's like, bang.
Yes.
He would never do it, though.
He would, though.
He's not the type to have a gun,
Yes,
though.
he is, though.
No.
Yes.
Why would he have a gun?
Why wouldn't he have a gun?
Because he has claws.
But
And
people
because
could
he
be
can
like, oh, we can just stay far away and he can't get us. And then he's just like,
But
bam.
he can be so much more precise with his claws.
I feel like he gun, though. He would love a gun.
The gun thing could be taken so easily from him, then. Though.
So then he would just use his claws.
You just want to give him a gun because of the cowboy aesthetic stuff.
No, I just want to give him a gun because he would...
It's the cowboy thing. You want him to have a dramatic shootout, like Wild West style, like
That would be fun,
1, 2, 3, bam! That's what you want. I'm taking your silence as a yes. Anyways, so Storm is like, okay, I've been with the X-Men for a while without my powers. I realized I need my powers back, and I don't know if
Also,
Forge...
she has longer hair now.
Yeah, because it's been a little while.
Yeah,
Her mohawk
it's
is
been
longer.
a couple months.
Mm-hmm. She's like, I don't know if Forge can give me back my powers, but I'm going to go find him and try because I will be able to help the X-Men more if I have my powers. So she says, I'm leaving. The X-Men need a leader. I want you to be that leader. And Wolverine's like, no, I'm not a leader.
Never.
I'm a loner. I don't... He's like, I'm just not up for the job. And he's like, make Rogue or Psylocke the leaders. And she's like, they're not ready. Like, I need you. And he's like, you're making a mistake.
He ends up owning a school.
Yeah. Well, and then Storm joins him as well. But she says, he says, you're making a mistake. And she says, perhaps it will not be the first. But if you do not return with me, Logan, you will be making a bigger one. He says, all right, darling, for better or worse, let's go. And then she goes to Forge. I love her raincoat.
It's yellow.
She's wearing like her like punk outfit with like the vest and like is it a tank top or a tube top? I think it's a tank top. That's kind of hard to tell. I think it.
What's
Anyways,
the difference?
Tube top is like just like over the front. Tank top has the straps.
Oh.
I think it's a tube top.
Let me see. I can't tell with the rain jacket on.
Yeah, you can't really tell. Anyways, tube top and like the cross belts or like the belts that like kind of cross to form an X, which is fun, and the black leggings and heels. But
Wait,
she's also wearing a bright yellow raincoat over top of it.
And it's like flowy.
It's like
really
a
long.
stylized, like it's not like one of those like big kid ones with a big old hood, you know, that are hard to pull off. It's like a stylish yellow jacket that is drawn to look like it's a raincoat. It's more of like a trench coat, but
Yeah.
it's because it's
It
yellow.
looks like a raincoat.
Anyways, nobody is at Forge's place, except for Naze. Naze is the shaman of Forge's Cheyenne tribe.
I still don't
Forge,
get him.
He's based a lot in stereotypical depictions of indigenous men.
Yeah.
With like the spiritual and like it was like Marvel, they couldn't imagine having an indigenous character that wasn't tied to like mysticism and spirits and stuff like that, and so they put in Naze and have him say like, I raised Forge to fight against the adversary, who really doesn't ever show up again.
Yeah.
Who is like this evil force that Forge has to fight against, or he'll become the adversary's host or something. I don't know, it's kind of weird. It gives me bad vibes because I feel like it falls into like stereotypical depictions of indigenous people a lot. Naze is also evil. That's important.
Yeah, that's
he's
very
like
important.
really weird and creepy, and he's like on the adversary's side.
I don't like him.
So he's just he doesn't really exist as a character. He exists as like kind of negative depictions of indigenous men. Like he's just a lot of stereotypes rolled into one. Yep. He never comes back.
Never.
Nope.
He's
not really important.
He's in
Fall of Mutants.
He's also in his first appearance.
Oh yeah, because he's
in,
arguing with. Because he's like, Forge, you need to come back to your tribe and be my protege and become the shaman so that we can defeat the adversary. And Forge is like,
I don't really want to.
He, like he says, you cannot hide from your destiny. And Forge says, I don't. I simply deny it. He's just not really interested in that. Forge is also not really that connected to his culture.
Yeah.
Like as a Cheyenne man. As an indigenous man. Anyways, Naze is being creepy in the
very creepy
upper part. He's communing with spirits and seeing visions. And
his mouth is weirdly open and his face is stretched.
Yeah, because he's like, his speech is guttural, not so much in words as the accepted sense, but vocalizations of raw, arcane energy, summoning and shaping mystic power that defies comprehension.
But it just doesn't...
It's just a lot of stereotypical stuff. Naze is not... From the research I did figuring out how to pronounce it, the only person I could find with that was someone, a Belgian astrophysicist has the last name Naze, so that's where I'm pulling the pronunciation from. It seems to be another, like, instance of Claremont just being like, I'm gonna make up a name that sounds cool.
Yeah.
And ethnic, or whatever. Anyways, Naze is not really important.
Nope,
the main thing is just that, like, he's testing Storm, because he wants her to help him defeat Forge, so he turns on the holograms.
Yep.
In the thing. I think we've kind of gone over the fact that he doesn't really exist as a character. He's kind of just stereotypical indigenous evil man. But the main important thing for the plot of this, for the flashbacks,
he puts up a bunch of holograms.
Yeah, he turns on Forge's hologram thing, and so as Storm's making her way through Forge's penthouse,
there's flashbacks of Lifedeath.
Yeah, she's greeted by all these different holograms of flashbacks of Lifedeath, from like their conversation out on the balcony, where they're talking about where she's like, you betrayed me, da 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 da.
And then it goes backwards.
And then like when Storm accidentally turned on the hologram in Lifedeath of the Vietnam War and stuff. So she's kind of like standing around in this. She takes off her raincoat.
Wait, does she have a tube top on, or?
I think it looks like a tube top.
Yeah, it's a tube top.
And so there's like all these visions, and they're like all of her, like before she became punk, her punk look, like how she looked during Lifedeath, all of this. She makes her way into the kitchen, and there's... Can I see it?
I'm looking for the straps.
Oh, I don't think there are any. I think it's just tube top. She makes her way into the kitchen, and there's even more hologram flashbacks going on where they're flirting with each other. She tries the champagne in there and says, like, the wine is flat, long ago turned to vinegar, like us. So she's like, ah.
Look how big my feet are.
She goes into, then she goes into the swimming area, and there's a bunch of holograms of them swimming. Then she goes into his workshop, and there's like 100 million holograms of her. Yeah. Like 1 million, and not all of them are flashbacks. Some of them are like, imagine. There's one in the back that looks like it's supposed to be her as like an indigenous woman, or like if she had married him and joined the Cheyenne tribe. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, there's like ones of her in bikinis. Anyways, there's all this. There's all this, and then she finds in the center of the room Forge, and he's plugged into all these machines and all this stuff. And she turns off his holograms and then finds this Forge like plugged into pretty much like every machine in the room. And he's like, and he says, "What have you done? Where is my love? Where is my heart? You had no right to take her away. Bring her back. Please, 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 I beg you. Is it so much to ask? A little dream, a little joy. She is my world, my life. I need her so. Aurora! Bring her back, I say, or I'll kill you." But he's also an illusion. And so Storm tries to stop him, and her hand goes straight through him. And then Naze shows up. Da-da-da-da-da. He's like, "You gotta help me. Find Forge, etc., etc." That's really only important for Fall of the Mutants, because then they have to do, because then Naze ends up summoning the adversary, right? Yeah, I think so. He tries to convince the adversary to be on his side and then gets killed for it. Yeah. The adversary's like, "No, I'm just gonna take over Earth anyways, without you. I don't care." Yeah. And then Forge does like a ritual or whatever where they sacrifice 7 souls to close off the gate and stop the adversary. And those 7 souls are the X-Men. And then they die. And then Roma, who is like a goddess, kind of, brings them back to life. And they decide to pretend that they're still dead so they can go live in the Australian outback and fight crime as the X-Men without having to worry about the media. But this is, it's like, it's our favorite issue. It's a crazy important X-Men, like, to Storm, it's important. There's also a part 2 of Lifedeath where she goes to Kenya and kind of has, like, self-discovery stuff there. Yeah, I've never read that one. She ends up in a cave and is hallucinating the X-Men. It's a lot about, like, that one is a lot about her choosing to live. Because she kind of gets, like, she's kind of battered and she's in this cave and she's like, I could just give up and lay here and just, like, die. But she's like, no, I gotta keep going. I gotta choose to, like, put one foot in front of the other. And then after that, she goes back to the X-Men, is powerless for a little while. And then, this stuff forwards. She gets her powers back eventually. I don't really know how it happens. Yeah. But, yeah. I wrote in my notes app, this was quite a while ago, but I had written some stuff about Lifedeath. I might think it might be a little rambly, but I'm going to read it. So I wrote Lifedeath, I love you. And I wrote, there's just something about it not quite being a cliched, oh no, she fell in love with this guy and he's actually evil trope. How it's so much more than that, and Forge and her make such a special connection so quickly because he understands on a fundamental level what she is going through. She's lost a part of herself and doesn't want to live anymore. And he lost a hand and leg in a war and understands that feeling, and he survived it, and now he's helping her survive it. Like, at its core, Lifedeath is about a broken person meeting someone who went through the same experience in the past, but is now healed, and is trying to help the broken person heal because they did, and they know it'll take a while, but that it can be done. They did it, and so can you. And then the broken person finds out that the person helping them heal, who they are falling in love with, created the weapon that hurt them. Like, it's a person who has experienced a great loss and trauma and is feeling suicidal because of it, meeting a person who has experienced a great loss and trauma that caused them to feel suicidal, but they survived and they lived through it. And now they're helping this suicidal person realize that life does go on, that they will heal. It takes time and it will not be easy, but one step at a time they will get better, and they have someone who's done this before right alongside them the whole time.
How do you write so much?
And then I wrote, and can you blame Storm for falling in love with Forge? Can you really blame her for falling for someone who is helping her learn how to live again, someone who is saving her and understands her on a fundamental level? And of course Forge is in love with her too. He's been in love with her ever since he saw her. She's Storm, she's beautiful and powerful and glorious. Well, she used to be powerful, now she isn't. But he is still in love with her, and he is going to try his hardest to help her survive this. But also, and we touched on this earlier, despite being the creator of the weapon that hurt Storm, Forge is not evil. He did not make the weapon that hurt Storm knowing it would be used on mutants. But he doesn't have the chance to explain that because Storm is so betrayed and she doesn't want to hear anything from him. And he'd tell her, but she says, and this is in the comic that happens right after when they fight the Dire Wraiths and that and stuff, it ends, he's still trying to help her, and she says, next time I see you, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And I also wrote, and I think that Lifedeath does a really good job of using a real-life experience that is both showcased in the comic itself, because it has a disabled person in it, and talked about in the comic of Forge being a double amputee and losing both his hand and leg, to compare that to Storm's unique experience of losing her powers, to explain it and help ground it in reality. And I said, and it's something I wish more X-Men comics would do, to bring in real-life examples to explain things that are unique to the X-Men world. Not copying or replacing existing pain. Not just saying, oh, we have, like, this fantasy racism, right?
Yeah.
But rather bringing in people that are experienced that racism or have, like, actual racism happening, and then comparing and connecting those mutant struggles to real-life struggles. Rather than just, like, directly copying. Like, that happens sometimes. Like, they'll just, like, kind of, like, be like, I'm gonna take this racism thing and kind of, like, directly apply it to the X-Men, or, like, directly make that comparison. But I like it more when they're, like, we have Forge in the comic who is disabled, who is, like, he experiences a real-life disability, to then compare that to Storm's, like, fictional disability in the loss of her powers that she's had since a young age. Because, like, loss of powers, saying that's, like, a disability, like, it is, but also, like, she can't fly now, and she talks about how she can't feel the weather and stuff like that. But
and she feels cold.
And she feels cold and stuff. But, like, I don't think it would have been fitting to just say, like, that's a disability. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she's disabled now. But having Forge there and saying that through Forge, having Forge, the disabled person, say, like, I see myself in you, really makes this comic a really strong comic and a really good comic. Do you have any closing thoughts on this comic? I feel like we mainly, like, talked through it, but also touched on most things that we wanted to touch on about it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really good comic. You guys should all go read it for yourself, even though we kind of went through most of it step by step. Would highly recommend it. It's a really good comic. And they kind of give you most of the background context that you need for the comic, like within the comic itself. Forge kind of talks about what has happened when he's thinking to himself. Old comics have a tendency to do that, just so that whenever you jump on, you kind of know what's going on. Which is nice,
but also...
it, depending on if you're just starting, it's nice, because then everything's explained. Otherwise, if you've been reading with these characters for quite a few issues, you're like, yeah, Rogue, I know that you absorb people's thoughts and memories and powers when you touch them. You say that every single issue, right? You're kind of like, yep, you've done that for the past 20 issues, and every issue you say the same thing about it. I get it. But it is helpful for, like, when you started reading X-Men comics.
Yeah.
You had started with the new ones.
I started with the new ones, which don't explain anything. Mm-hmm. But then Abby was like, you should read these old ones, because they explain everything. Mm-hmm. But also, it's kind of time-consuming. Like, they're so thin, but they have so much information.
They do. That's the other thing, is that even though these comics are a lot thinner than modern ones are, they have text in every panel, and there's so much. And recent comics don't always have narration boxes.
Yeah.
And sometimes are a little more action rather than dialogue orientated. And I think older comics kind of balance that a little better. Sometimes they're a little wordy. We haven't read 60s comics, and those are pretty wordy.
Yeah.
But I think 80s comics do a good job between, like, the characters are talking, they are communicating, we are getting to see what they're thinking through thought bubbles and narration, while also, like, there's action going on. There's things to look at as well as read. The artist for this comic is it's not the usual artist that does Uncanny X-Men. His art style is pretty cool. I don't know if it says what his name is. Oh, here it is. It's, Barry Windsor Smith is his name. He did the pencils, and then the inker would have been somebody else. But he has a very, like, it's a very anatomy, realistic kind of style.
Yeah.
Like, a lot more realistic usually than styles are. Like, when Storm is curled up in a bed with, like, the bed sheet wrapped around her, like, we see, like, every wrinkle in the bed sheet.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really impressive, like, we see every strand of her hair, of her mohawk.
Yeah.
It's a really impressive art style, which I think kind of adds, and it fits the tone of the book.
Yeah.
It's kind of a more serious art style than most of the X-Men comics are, I feel like. You know, which kind of fits this story because it's a more serious comic, and it's one that says, I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. This isn't just a colorful superhero story, and it is still a superhero story. I mean, we've got aliens in here that suck people's brains out.
Yeah.
But it's also just a story about two people falling in love, about learning to keep going despite traumatic events. And I think that Forge and Storm are a really interesting couple. Like,
yeah,
because of this, but then also because, like, anything that you would do with their relationship would have to address this. You have to talk about life, death. You have to talk about the fact that this is where they fell in love, but then you also have to talk about the fact that, like, their relationship doesn't progress here. It doesn't they don't become a couple. They fall in love, and then there's this great betrayal, and, like, if you were to talk about them as a couple, you would have to talk about this. Yeah. And I feel like it's a big deal. Yeah. It's a really good comic. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I just thought of the time when I was like, can Wolverine regrow his finger?
The Wolverine mitosis question?
Yes.
I don't think we have time to unpack all of that. We do not have a plan for next episode. I have a list of comics that we would like to go through. A list of comics that we would like to go through. We might just go through a random one. I also don't know if we have any comics that we could talk about to such a length as we did with Life Death. Because this it's twice as thick as all of the other issues. It's a special double-sized issue.
And we use, like, 3 different.
Yeah, and we had 2 other comics that we were kind of supplementing with it. And it's really deep for an X-Men comic. Like, X-Men comics have a tendency to be a lot deeper than other comics, I feel like, sometimes. Like, just because they talk about, like, minority struggles and stuff, and obviously, like we said, that metaphor doesn't always work.
Yeah.
But it lends X-Men comics kind of like a little more of a... Because they can get a little darker. And obviously, like, Avengers comics and stuff can get dark, too. But, like, they tend to be a little more grounded in reality, as much as a superhero comic can be. And Life Death is really a good example of this. So, we actually, before I forget, we put a Google form link in the description of this show. So if you guys would like to suggest what we should do the next episode about, whether that be a specific comic issue that you love or hate and would like us to go over,
or if it's just a specific person,
or if it's a specific character or a specific retcon even, or a storyline or something, I have that Google form set up. You should just be able to click the link in the description, or you can comment it under this.
Also,
yeah.
if you have any suggestions, just comment.
Yeah, you can just comment them as well.
All right.
Okay, this has been X-Men Extravaganza. I hope you enjoyed the experience. And I hope that you guys are curious to pick up Lifedeath. That is all.